This morning, investigators frantically searching for answers as Florida reels from one of the worst school shootings in history.
All right, joining us right now with an update from his point of view, and a guy that knows that state as well as anyone, GOP Senator from Florida, Marco Rubio. Senator, I know you've been apprised of the situation as it's unfolding. Very few people who've been to Broward County and read the statistics would ever think something like this could happen there. What can you tell us?
Well, listen, when one individual decides in a premeditated and orchestrated way that they're going to carry something like this out, it can happen anywhere. In this particular case, and I think in the days to come we'll learn more about it, we have a deeply disturbed person, someone with some, you look at the social media accounts, you look at some of the other things that law enforcement has not yet made public. This was someone who kind of had a bunch of events come together. His father died a few years ago. His adopted mother died late last year. He was living with another family. But this was someone that people knew was a danger. You know, someone that in the school there was this running joke. It's not a joke anymore, obviously, but a running joke that he was going to come back one day and hurt a lot of people. So all these things happen, and yet somehow this individual escaped detection, was able to acquire this weapon and then go in and kill 17 people and injure many more. So it can happen anywhere. It just takes one person with the wrong circumstances, and you get into this situation.
But Senator Rubio, you know, we hear so many times, if you see something, say something. Apparently a lot of people said things. And he was reported to the school authorities, apparently. And there are reports online that maybe law enforcement was involved, and yet this still happens. He was able to buy a gun legally.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it appears that there had been a number of police complaints about some different things that he had done, but none of those in and of themselves would have arisen to this level. I think you have to look at it in its totality.
Right.
But there's, we're a country of millions of people, but this is, we're going to learn more about this, and we're going to certainly learn what could have been done.
But what about the threatening nature of the social media?
So that's my point. I mean, you have to look at the totality. It's not just a guy that you're getting some calls about doing weird things. It's a guy that's putting all these things up on social media. It's a guy that's had problems in threatening people in school. And so when you put the full picture together, you start to say, this is a person who could be a very serious problem. And then what can you do about it? How can you get ahead of it? How can you jump on that and prevent it from happening? And that's the problem here, is that we look at these things in an isolated way, but not in their totality.
Yeah, Senator, I know you're from the Miami area, South Florida. I know this happened just north of you in the Fort Lauderdale area. Did you know anyone that went to that high school? Did your kids know anyone that went there? And do you have any personal stories?
So I don't know anyone there personally now. I know the area quite well, actually, because Miami and Fort Lauderdale is kind of the same metropolitan area. We are up there for all sorts of events, from youth sports to, of course, things that have to do with my job. Parkland, by the way, is one of the safest communities in America. It's a place that people move to get away from this. And I say you're not going to get likely to get mugged there or carjacked there. Your home's likely to get broken into there. It's a very safe community. This is an isolated instance, but a very tragic and catastrophic one, where you have one individual with a perfect storm of circumstances and then goes into a school and kills 17 people and injures many more. So I know the area well.
Senator, I know it's going to be hard, but today is going to be one of those critical times in an issue that you are so passionate about and put a lot of your integrity into, and that is immigration reform. We understand there's going to be a series of votes today in the Senate, let alone what they're doing in the House, to legalize the 1.8 million, give them on a path, not their parents perhaps, and then in exchange for some type of border security. And up for debate, of course, is everything, including the lottery system and chain migration. What are the plans that have you most optimistic?
Well, to be frank, I'm not sure any of the four plans have the votes to pass today. It's a tough issue, but there's four out there. I know for certain that I support the president's plan, and all four of those pillars are things I have voted for and supported in the past. And there's a second bipartisan plan by Senator Rounds and Collins, and I was involved in a lot of the meetings to help craft it. I haven't had a chance to, I will this morning, to go through and read the language in detail and make a final decision. It's got a lot of things in there I like as well. Probably has a couple things I would have done different. I'm open to supporting it, but I haven't made that decision, frankly, because yesterday when it was sent out is when all of this happened, so I hadn't had a chance to focus on it. But I'm going to focus on it this morning because the vote is today.
Can I give you the overview as I understand it?
Yeah.
Two of the pillars are in there. The 1.8, a pathway to legalization. Their parents don't get in. They don't get legal status. On turn, you get $25 billion for the border, but you get a 2.8 at a time but Gary, you need 60 votes to take that money back. So the money is virtually guaranteed over the course of 10 years. Can you handle 2 pillars?
Yeah, look, I will handle anything that makes things better, and I've often said that I think 2 pillars are likelier, even though I support all 4. And by the way, these pillars are interrelated. The one thing I would point is I'm not sure it's 1.8 because the cutoff date for people eligible under the Rounds-Collins plan actually doesn't start till December of 2012, not 2007. So that's an additional number of people. What that rounds up to, I'm not sure, but it's even more people than the president's plan.
Wow.
More people than DACA. But I don't know what exactly that number is, and that's how I read it.
Is that why it's one? No one's been able to tell us why it's 1.8. The DACA recipient, 700,000.
Right. So 1.8 is because under the president's plan, not only do the people under DACA that signed up for it get it, but also the people who could have signed up for DACA, were eligible for DACA, but didn't sign up for it, were also eligible to get it. So those 2 groups are already covered in the Collins-Rounds plan. But then it adds an additional group of people that is not from, the cutoff date for DACA, cutoff date for president's plan is June of 2007. The cutoff date for the Collins-Rounds plan is June of 2012. So that's another 5 years of people that become eligible. I don't know how many that adds up to, but it'll be more than 1.8.
Okay. Well, a busy day there in the Senate. We thank you very much, Marco Rubio, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we still don't know why the school shooter did it, but the debate over gun control is heating up. Tammy Bruce takes a closer look.